Lucasfilm, Pixar, Marvel Entertainment. Those were the days when Disney was acquiring major companies, bringing them into the fold under the direction of then superstar CEO Bob Iger. But those days are long ago. Now there are rumors that Disney is looking to purchase another major corporation, but is it real, and can Disney even do so? Folks, we're diving into it, as well as the current situation for Disney. Do they even have any power left at all? Hello folks, welcome back to another video here on the WDW Pro channel, where we endeavor to explain entertainment and, yes, keep you ahead of the culture curve. We love doing so. And today we're doing so by looking into the context surrounding this latest rumor that Disney is looking to purchase not just some small indie video game company, but no, Electronic Arts itself. I know it's hard to believe. It's going to be even harder once we take a look at what's going on with Disney in a grander scale. But we must look at this because Disney itself seems to have leaked out that message. We're going to explain why we think they did so. Before we get into the Electronic Arts rumor, let's take a look at what's going on with Disney in terms of their content. You've got to understand the context surrounding this to understand what Disney is up to. This coming from Mac on Twitter, @NowIt'sKnown. We love the Mac account. We love the information this individual sends out. Samba TV says the finale of Ahsoka landed on Disney Plus last week to 863,000 U.S. households watching. Older millennials tuned in at the highest rate to watch whether Thrawn made it to Paradia. Now, 863,000 views is not good. In fact, if you take a look at this, Matt comes back and says that it premiered, according to Samba TV, which, by the way, Nielsen seems to correlate and verify as opposed to the crazy numbers we get out of Disney. 1.2 million is how many tuned in to Ahsoka for the premiere. 863,000 is how many tuned in for the finale. We were wondering why Disney was so quiet about the finale for Ahsoka. We were wondering why they were talking so proudly about Loki, and it was all crickets for the latest Star Wars show. Now, I think we know, and it seems that that leak that we received from a Lucasfilm person turns out to be exactly true. That was a big step for us on this channel 48 hours ago to say that Ahsoka was going to lose viewers overall, because that's very rare to see that. But indeed it did. It lost viewership completely. It didn't pick up in the finale. It didn't suddenly see a burst at the end. No, and this is gravely bad for this situation. Mac finishes by saying Andor's numbers increased for the finale. Andor's numbers, folks. Andor is a show that everybody, talks about as a massive failure. This is Ahsoka. This is supposed to be launching Dave Filoni as the Star Wars savior, as the heir to the empire, the apprentice of George Lucas. He's supposed to be doing a movie where Thrawn will be the epitome of the saga. Take a look at this out of George the Giant Slayer over here on Twitter as well. This is fascinating stuff. 804,000 U.S. households watched the season 2 premiere of The Witcher. 1.3 million households watched the finale of Hawkeye. 1.7 million watched the Book of Boba Fett. WandaVision, 1.4. Loki, 1.9. Almost 2 million. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, 1.7 million. Ahsoka is not performing well whatsoever. There are more subscribers today than there were for Loki. And Loki more than doubled the numbers for Ahsoka. Ahsoka is supposed to be a flagship title. This is showing that there is great weakness in the franchise that is Star Wars. But I'm here to tell you, this has metastasized all throughout the Walt Disney Company. We have been covering it each and every day here. Now, if you're curious just how bad this is for Disney, consider that She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, was a laughingstock of the industry. Its finale doubled. Its finale doubled Ahsoka. To call this catastrophic would be an understatement. I don't know where they go from here, but what I will tell you is that this is indicative of everything that's going on at Disney right now. And so This will make sense when we come back to the Electronic Arts thing. This will make sense, I promise you, why they're doing what they're doing. But take a look at this out of Axios. This is by Sarah Fisher. Nelson Peltz reignites Disney proxy battle. Nelson Peltz, co-founder of the activist hedge fund Trian Fund Management, has increased his firm's stake in the Walt Disney Company and plans to seek board seats. A source familiar with his plans told Axios. It's the second proxy fight Peltz has waged with Disney in the last 12 months, and it adds pressure as Disney assesses major strategic challenges. Now, you all may say, well, Pro, why are we talking about this? This has nothing to do with Electronic Arts. Oh, yes, it does. You might say, well, Ahsoka has absolutely zero to do with Electronic Arts. Oh, yes, it does. Hang tight. We're going to explain it. Take a look at this. As we read this article, folks, and make sure to go click on the link. It's in the description. We always put all the links in our descriptions, but you can go read these for yourself. Consider the market's response. Nelson Peltz is not a Bob Iger guy. Nelson Peltz loathes, not loves, loathes what Bob Iger has been doing to this company since he returned and what Bob Iger did to get back in control of the company. Nelson Peltz, when he launched this second proxy fight, it pulled the Walt Disney stock out from below $80 to a solid $85. Now, I'm not here, as if you've watched the channel very much, you know, I'm not here to give you any kind of financial advice. I'm not going to do it. You should not read into this any kind of financial advice whatsoever. If you want that kind of advice, go seek out a local financial advisor you can trust in your area. But I am here to tell you that Nelson Peltz, not a Bob Iger guy, threw his hat in the ring and the stock instantly went up. Okay? That tells you what the market currently thinks about Bob Iger. Now, let's get to the Electronic Arts rumor. And we're going to make all of that make sense. We're going to make this cloud, right? This array of other news. I'm going to show you how it's all connected. This is out of Forbes by Paul Tassi. Disney buying EA would be a disaster for everyone. Here's what Paul has to say. For years now, Disney has abandoned the video game publishing space, content to farm out its various licenses to a large number of studios. I'll say this too. It was a huge mistake. It was a huge mistake for Disney to get out of the video game industry. Major. There's so much money being left on the table. But that is a topic for another day. And unlike Mazganata, we actually will talk about it one day. Now, a new report says that Disney may want to dive back into gaming in a big way with the purchase of a major publisher. Funny that. They purchased Lucas Arts, didn't they? Killed it. And the name that keeps coming up is Electronic Arts. This comes from a Bloomberg report where Disney execs are allegedly pushing CEO Bob Iger to get back into game publishing by buying EA. Iger is said to be non-committal about the idea. Pause, and let's get to explaining. Here's what we know, folks. For this report to come out, if it has any legitimacy to it at all, it has to come from the inner circle, because only the most inner circle would know whether Bob Iger is committal or non-committal or anything else regarding buying Electronic Arts. So, just like that CNBC report, this would have to come from very, very close. Now, why would Disney want, if it comes from very, very close to the top, why would Disney want this out there? Well, think about for a moment, think about the Ahsoka situation. They have known that Ahsoka ratings are going to come out. We talked about this in a video 48 hours ago, right? Lucasfilm feels betrayed. We went out there before we had no idea what the ratings were. Boy, you talk about this channel looking bad. If we had put that information out there and then Ahsoka's ratings had been phenomenal, boy, we would have looked bad, wouldn't we? But we don't make this stuff up. We get it from sources that know their stuff, and all credit goes to those sources. But Disney knew this was going to look bad. It's going to look worse when the Nielsen ratings come out and you have a head-to-head Ahsoka versus Loki. Now, Star Wars, that means it's kind of it's at least a damaged brand. It may be a dead brand, honestly, at this point. I mean, if you're being doubled by She-Hulk, if you have the same kind of precipitous fall in viewership as Willow, good Lord. What do you make of that? And when it's being headed by the person that you think is the savior of the franchise. Disney also knows that they've got this Nelson Peltz issue here, where the market seems to be more in favor of Nelson Peltz and the Trian Group coming on and getting board seats than they are of Iger. So what's Disney up to here? Why would Iger and his close confidants want there to be talk about potentially the company buying Electronic Arts to make it seem like Disney still has that sort of power. Let's continue on, but chew on that for a moment. Disney video game content has been all over the place, both when Disney itself was publishing and when these licenses have been farmed out. Within EA, we've had the Great Jedi series starring Cal Kestis, but we've also had some disastrous Battlefront launches that had to be fixed over a long period of time. It goes on to talk about that. Paul then says, why would this be bad for pretty much everyone? Disney has shown no real skill at managing video games over the years. Okay, well, that lines up pretty well with a lot of other things Disney has not been great at managing over the last, let's say, 5 years. Maybe if EA was allowed to run completely independently, it might work, but that seems unlikely given how Disney would want to use this acquisition synergistically with its other properties. On EA's part, being owned by Disney would mean they are at the mercy of a megacorp that could then dictate their entire slate of releases. Come on, EA is a megacorp. EA is massive. EA, good grief. EA is so, what would you say? EA is so corporate and so controlled that there is nothing very ingenious that comes out of that company any longer. We'll just leave it there. It's stodgy to say the least. On the consumer side, this could mean that EA locks up all Star Wars and Marvel rights indefinitely. There are currently a lot of interesting Star Wars projects in the works from all manners of studios outside of EA, but that could change. Now, all of that is seemingly, and it's true, yes, but here's the other thing. If you are Disney and if you're trying to shake up the market right now and say, hey, look at us. If you're Iger and you want to look like you have the power to make these kinds of acquisitions that you once made so long ago, right, when you were buying Pixar and Marvel and Lucasfilm and so many more things, if you want to project to the world that you can still do that, Electronic Arts is a really cool company to project it with. Now, I don't think they're going to buy them, but what you can do with that is you make the market wonder, well, if Disney buys Electronic Arts, that would mean that they could create synergy between NBA Live, Madden, and ESPN. Disney would have the only video game NFL license on the market. That's been true ever since EA spent this insane amount of money to make sure that NFL 2K died after NFL 2K5. We're talking all the way back in 2004. That NFL 2K5 outsold Madden. EA spent all the money they could to get the solo license, and Disney would get that. So that would be a big deal, and so you can understand why Disney would attempt to use Electronic Arts as the projected company that they might acquire. But this paragraph right here really tells us the tale of the tales. Let's read it and I'll explain. How likely is this to actually happen? Iger may be non-committal, but clearly many at Disney are demanding an entry into gaming. Oh, that sounds great. And EA very much sounds like it's more than willing to sell for the right price. They would. Disney's $155.51 billion market cap, by the way, folks, remember, not long ago, Disney was well over $200 billion. But when you wipe out 60% of your total corporate value in 2 years, these numbers are smaller than they used to be. How about that? Disney's $150 billion market cap is certainly larger than EA's $35 billion. But that is a 20% chunk of Disney, so it's not nothing. All right, here's where this makes it just nigh impossible for this to happen. Disney is currently purchasing Hulu. Remember that, folks? And they are way behind on this, too. They wanted to roll out the Disney Plus Hulu merger, and Hulu will still remain its own entity to some degree, but they want to fold those things into one another in December. That's what we've heard from leakers in the past. Now, Disney is struggling on this Hulu thing, right? This is costing them tens of billions of dollars. Even if Disney just wanted to get EA with a majority stake and have controlling power the way they've been running Hulu for the past few years, even if that's what they wanted to do, they still got to pony up in excess of $15 billion, probably $20 billion. Does anyone out there right now think that Disney can pony up $20 billion? Their parks are in a very bad place domestically, and they are the cash cow that drives all of the cash flows for the company. Disney is not in a good place when it comes to Star Wars. Disney is trying desperately to save Marvel. Disney Animation is terrified that Wish is going to come out and follow the pattern now of families having abandoned Disney. Do we really think that Disney wants to spend $20 billion to get a majority stake in a video game company? Do we really think that Disney could manage that right now, that they could swing it? No, we don't. So what's really going on here? Well, folks, here's what's really going on. At a time when Nelson Peltz is banging on the door of Bob Iger and trying to get that 2-shower day from him, At a time when Star Wars is getting down near Peacemaker levels in terms of viewership, Disney needs to project strength. Bob Iger needs to project strength. That strength comes in the way of ridiculous greed that cannot any longer be carried through. But in the articles, for those who are not well educated and have not been following along on the fall of Disney, they probably believe it. They probably read it and they think it's actually merit-based article writing. They probably think that it's a merit-based and based in reality kind of foray for Disney into something like this. Reality is Disney can't buy more Pixars. Disney can't buy more Lucasfilms. Well, maybe they could buy a Lucasfilm for the amount they bought it for back in the day. They can't buy Marvel, though. Disney is in a quagmire, and they need to get out of the quagmire. That's what Peltz is trying to help them do. But it's being framed as an attack on Disney. But Disney right now needs you to believe that they could buy EA or they could buy any other major company out there. They need to have you talking about that. Because that is far better than people realizing that just having someone who disagrees with Disney getting ready to wage a proxy war against them seems to be lifting the stock. Because people would really, really like to see Disney leadership change. That seems to be just enough, just the hope of it, enough to raise this cratering stock. Again, it's dropped 60% in the last 2 years. And if you're looking for a very interesting correlation, folks, if you're looking for a very interesting correlation, not saying it's a real correlation, but it's a heck of a coincidence. That drop, that 60% drop in total stock and corporate value, well, it lines up pretty good with the drop in viewership for Disney Plus flagship shows, doesn't it? And that's a thought to think about. And Bob Iger is the man who's been behind the wheel, at the helm, the entire way. Bob Chapek was there for a very short period of time. We have not yet seen the creative stuff that Chapek greenlit ever make it out. We may never at all. This is Big Bob's deal that he needs to clean up. It may just be too dang hot for Big Bob. So break out the shower, get out the hippos, and let's see what Disney can do with this mess that is sending them to a place they don't want to be. Folks, we hope you enjoyed content like this. If you do, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and let us know what you think. Yes, we normally have another guest on to have a conversation with me, but sometimes it's fun to have these solo videos where we just break down exactly what's going on, especially when it's dense and especially on days when we're going to have the pro show. And oh yes, we are. 5 p.m. Eastern time, we break into the pro show. It may go even a little bit longer than usual today because we have so much to cover. There's just so much news happening. Some of it you won't know about until we begin the show. We would surely love to have you there as a valued and appreciated guest. So come join us. Join in the conversation live. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Well, you see, I wanted to get some inside scoops on Disney and their different corporations, if you know what I mean. So I figured by looking into this fistbowl and sucking it randomly with my own energy that I pay for, you paid for, I could do the whole experience where you can be a master and spy on your targets.
You're an idiot. If you want to get the inside scoop on Disney, or even other media organizations, you should check out thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel. That'd be way easier, more accurate, and, less dumb.
Are you saying I won't get accurate information this way?
No, you can't.
Who'd have thunk?